Hey guys, today I want to talk about Garrosh and why he's being picked so much by the pros right now, why his popularity is so high, as well as why is Blizzard not addressed Garrosh. He's sitting at a 60% win rate in pro play, which is extremely high for for a competitive hero right now. And I think that mainly the reason why he isn't been addressed is because his win rate in Hero League is only about 48%. And there becomes a little bit of a debate when there's a really strong hero in pro play that people go, well, should we nerf him because they're not that strong in Hero League? But you see people like Genjis who sit at like 44% win rate in Hero League and they keep getting nerfed over and over and over. And the reason why is because ultimately balance is based off of pro play. So why has Garrosh not been addressed? And why is he being played so much by the pros? Most people say, oh, well, he's got a great throw, which leads to kills. And while yes, that is the number one reason why Garrosh is picked, there are actually a few other reasons that he's picked. The second reason that he's picked is because the way that his passive works allows him to absorb a lot of damage when he gets lower health. If you can combine that with a healer that's good at healing people at lower health, or healers that can give shields, like Rhaegar, for example, who does a percent health shield, the lower health you are, it's hard to burn through that shield. So he benefits with certain healers and certain supports very, very well. And there's a third reason that Garrosh is picked, which is specifically his level 7 talent, which allows you to throw an ally. Now, while you throw the ally, they get unstoppable. What unstoppable means is they essentially get cleansed. Well, if they get cleansed, that means that they are any stun or anything else that they had on them is now gone. Well, it also gives them armor as well as it does damage if you throw it near someone, meaning you can throw in someone who's bursty like a Maev and they have extra armor allowing them to do more stuff. But particularly why Garrosh is picked when it comes down to Into the Fray is it allows you to pick someone like Malfurion first, and then if they pick a hard CC like a taunt, you no longer have a cleanse for a taunt. So now you can pick Garrosh, which gives you a cleanse for that taunt. So Garrosh is picked really for three things: for his throw to throw enemies to initiate kills, for his armor capabilities, as well as his ability to throw an ally either to save them or to initiate into a fight. And the greatest part about all three of the reasons that he can be picked is all three of these can have a lot of value before level 10, right? Warlord's Challenge is level 10, which is still a very great ability, but it doesn't it doesn't require him to get to level 10 to get a lot of value. Garrosh has value early game. And in the current pro scene, we see a lot of objectives going off earlier and earlier and earlier, meaning these fights you need to win earlier and earlier to get the snowball. So in this particular game, we have Garrosh. This is another pro game. This is from HHE versus TS, Tempo Storm versus Heroes Hearth. If you haven't seen this game, I would recommend watching the whole thing by yourself because there will be spoilers throughout this game. However, I won't do any predictions in this game as I've watched like 15 Garrosh games, so I wanted to do a fresh one for this one. So I'm only going to make Sorry, I apologize. I will make some predictions, but I'm not going to make as many as I normally do. What I will say is that when the pros are picking Garrosh, a lot of what they want to do is they want to take early fights, and they want to throw people into roots, which they have 2 roots in here and a slow right here, so they're going to be going for a lot of these. There's no one in particular that they want to throw into a fight, as they could throw Thrall and then maybe have Thrall do a root. But overall, they're going to be using their throw to mostly get people out. Now, what happens with this is the level 7 throw we have Into the Fray. What likely could have happened in this game if they didn't pick Garrosh early, which they did pick Garrosh early, but let's say they didn't. Let's say they picked Malfurion first, and then right after Malfurion, we had a Maev pick. Well, we know that Maev is going to pull people in. So right as you see that tether, he could literally just pull whoever has the tether on him, throw whoever has the tether on him. They get unstoppable and they get outside of the tether, which allows him to save anyone who gets pulled by Maev. So he's definitely a really strong counter to Maiev, especially since you can solo tank with him, making it harder and harder for Maiev to get value off of the Q. She won't get resets if he's a solo tank. Early game, he's simply just trying to get stacks on this Warbreaker. What getting stacks will do is it will reduce the cooldown, as well it will increase the damage that you do with it. So you have to stun 5 people to get more damage, and if you stun 15 people, you get a lower cooldown. What's often recommended for Garroshes to do is combo their E and Q so that you can throw someone and immediately stun them, always giving you at least 1 stack, and likely leading to a kill. So on Tomb of the Spider Queen, what's often recommended for people to do is go with going lane to lane and using your wave clear to clear a wave, and then having your tank pick up all of the gems, so that all the gems are on a single person, and that person is tanky enough that they can handle anything. So if you're ever on this map and wondering what to do, I highly recommend just taking out the camps and grouping up 4 to 4. So you go 4, and then you kill everything, and you go up here, and you kill everything, and you go down here. And it works even better if you have someone like Garrosh who could sneak over this way and pull someone if the enemies are rotating at the same pace, right? Because the same thing is going to happen for the enemies. They're going to be grouped as 4, and then they're going to go up here, and then they're going to clear, and when they clear this one, you know that they're going to rotate down this direction, so you can use Garrosh to flip one and then get a kill here. Or here, or wherever your team is. So utilizing that early on is going to really help them win the game. A lot of people will recommend that at the start of any game, you should be making your first plan of how do you get the first objective, because on most of these maps, whoever gets the first objective has like a 60 to 70% win rate. So your goal should be, how do we get the first objective? Well, with a team comp like this, I would highly recommend something like that, where Garrosh rotates closer to their side, while the rest of your team rotates closer to this side, and Garrosh can flip someone over and you can get a kill. Not particularly one of them that can get away, but maybe if you could tag a Stukov or even a Blaze and then just block his exit, they'll be able to get early kills, which will allow them to get turn-ins early. And then you have Medivh, who can pretty much just stop them from turning in the beginning of the game. But this video is going to be focused on Garrosh's play, so we will see. And again, you can't just pick a Garrosh and go, oh, we're going to win the game because he has a high win rate. No, you have to abuse why he has a high win rate. So you need to make sure that during rotations, you're actually getting value off of your rotations. You can see he approaches closer to this direction. As I said, they're going to be clearing this wave, and he's approaching over here to see if he can catch one during rotation. He decides to go a little bit further over here, but he knows that even if he pulls a Tracer, it's not likely that he's going to be able to kill her, and they're going to have to commit a lot to that. So they're not going to go for a kill. The build that Garrosh is going to play is likely going to be the build that you're going to see everyone play with Garrosh. It's all pretty much the same thing. And that's essentially Warbreaker at level 1. You can go with the throw range. I think that that's just as good, but oftentimes Warbreaker's picked first. And then Indomitable, which gives you a cleanse, a self-cleanse. And then you go into the Fray, which the thing about this self-cleanse is I don't believe you can activate it while you're stunned, but it's longer than a cleanse, so you can use it before stuns. I think it's either stun or silence, that there's nothing you can do about this. But if you're rooted, you can still activate it. And then Into the Fray is going to be picked up at level 7. Level 10, Warlord's Challenge is going to be picked up. It's a 2-second stun. Sorry, a 2-second silence, which forces them to attack it, which is considered a taunt, right? So it's a 2-second taunt for everyone around you on a 50-second cooldown. It's a very strong ability. And most of the time it's comboed with his other abilities. So if he pulls someone, or if he throws someone and immediately stuns them, he can walk up because they're stunned just long enough that you can walk up and you can get your taunt off. Which means if you pulled someone like a Tracer or Maiev, you can actually kill them before they get their escapes off. Or you can just guarantee a kill on like a Stukov. With a 50-second cooldown, you can use it before every fight. So he's going for the stuns first. Again, it's just because if you were to flip a Joanna, you're not going to really be able to get any value out of it. So the best thing to really do is simply don't worry too much about flipping to get kills. You just simply flip so you can get more stacks. Because the more stacks you get, the more damage it does, the lower cooldown it has. Early game, just soaking. Again, you want to put all of your what are the coins or seeds or whatever these ones are, and this one gems, I guess. You want to make sure all your gems are on the tankiest person. As you can see on this map, Joanna has 10 gems, as well as Garrosh has 14 gems, and so they're keeping it on the tanks for the majority of this game. And I'm going to speed up just a little bit. As you can see, that was the combo that you want to be using on Garrosh. You want to flip, you want to immediately stun, and then you want to move up to him as fast as you can. And if you have taunt, you want to use taunt. In this case, he's before level 10, he doesn't have taunt. If you have a Malfurion on your team, you can follow that up with a root as well. And with the Thrall, he can also follow up with another root. So there's a lot of things you can do with that combo, and a lot of areas where you can lead to kills. But let's get up to level 7 really quick. We're going to safe turn in. We've got a little bit of a fight here. He's going to throw Maev, but he's already used that. The root is followed up, and Psalm's able to get away. He's still just stacking this up pretty quickly. You can see the damage over time actually does start adding up a little bit once you get that quest done, or the first part of that quest done. And again, he waits. He gets all of the coins, or the gems. I apologize. He gets all the gems. And then, I don't know why he's staying up here. There's nothing for him to get. Let me speed up as he turns in. Again, you just want to get safe turn-ins when you can. What this is doing right here is he was sitting in this bush, and this is called anchoring. When you sit in a bush, the enemies don't know where you are. So if they go to face check a bush, if you're sitting there anchored in it, you could immediately throw and stun. And anchoring works on just about every tank. Let's say, for example, Joanna was sitting in this bush. She could immediately pull you in and slow you. Every tank has something that they can do if they're anchored in a bush. And you always want to be anchoring a bush because they don't know where you are. He has vision on the objective, as well as if the enemies get too close, he can walk out, flip them, and get a kill. Because this is a pro game, we're not seeing a lot of value from that. But if this wasn't a pro game, let's say he was sitting in this bush and people kept falling for it, like a Stukov walked up here, he could get a kill after kill after kill after kill. I find when I was in Platinum for a little while, I was always abusing the fact that enemies would just walk up to bushes all the time. And then after Garrosh came out, I would play with my friends in lower ranks, and I could literally just go kill, kill, kill every time because I just walk up to someone, I would throw them, get a kill. And then they would get used to me walking up to them, so then I'd hide in a bush, and they would walk up to the bush, and I would throw them and get a kill. And it just happened over and over and over. So, same deal. You want to be abusing this bush as much as possible. Alright, so again, I want to get to level 7, so I'm going to skip past a little bit, slow down for some of these fights. Malfurion's definitely one of my favorites with Garrosh for a few reasons. The pull into root is nice, but also the healing over time. As his health gets lower, he gets harder to kill, which means that healing over time can almost break even with the damage that the enemies are dealing. So as long as they don't have percent health damage, which Tracer will likely get it at 10, but as long as they don't have percent health damage, he can sit at really low health for a long time with Malfurion and be almost impossible to kill. Alright, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Again, these fights are pretty simple, but nothing too crazy. Level 7, we're going to start seeing the cleanse. The throw, which will be a cleanse. He's also almost done with Warbreaker, so you can definitely see he's going to have some really good potential coming up very soon with low cooldown Qs. They have enough to turn in, but it's not on the tank. It's on another character. We've got a fight that's about to happen. He pops in his Unstoppable so that he doesn't get stunned. Alright, let's speed this up just a little bit more. He finishes quest, which means now the cooldown of his Warbreaker is much lower. As you can see, it's only 5 seconds now. A root goes out, she walks past it, so that's fine. Now, when you position here, if they can down this sidewall, he can simply walk forward and pull June and get a kill. But, because he doesn't have enough damage by himself to get a sidewall, he's not going to really worry about that. Interesting fact, while you can silence the suicide from any of those Pumpkinhead camps, you cannot silence the spells that any of these objectives cast, which, I mean, makes sense. I mean, it would be overpowered if you could do that. All right. So you can see he still hasn't used his throw onto an ally yet, but he doesn't really need to. The whole reason that I figured that he might have, the biggest one that he needs to worry about is Maev's tether, and he doesn't really need to worry about that right now, especially since Maev is dead. Got his stun off, and again, with this low cooldown, he's always getting stuns off. You can see, while in low ranks, the value of the throw of always getting kills is very, very, very strong. You can see in high ranks, he rarely is getting kills with just a throw. He's normally getting kills with just his stun. And I think that's something where people have confusion because they always go, oh, well, maybe we should be getting this, or maybe we should be getting this. And while these are okay talents, I mean, body check was nerfed, but they're okay talents. I think the challenge is that this is such a good talent because you have such a low cooldown and you do a lot of damage. His hero damage, when he has barely anything that does damage, is still comparable to Thrall, who's poking with Q every time. Even comparable to a Malfurion who's poking, or Maiev, so he's doing a decent amount of damage for being just a tank. He gets another turn in, which is going to be another Web Weaver. And it's probably over for Tempo Storm, but we will see. Again, I apologize for making predictions. I had a comment about that. But we will see how it goes. I'm going to just speed up just a little bit. Now with tanks, the thing about it is you would think, oh, he should be pulling them over here. And even BBJ thought that he was going to throw them over here. With tanks, you almost don't want to waste it. Because if you throw them over here and all of your people use their abilities, then she can still just walk away, and it might actually be a good fight for her to pull everyone in and go for something here. So what he does instead is he throws her away so that she's too far from ever engaging. And with Blaze being down here, that means that there's no way that Tempo Storm can actually fight because he threw her away. Which is, again, something very underrated that people don't think about, is throwing people away from the team. We're probably going to see a Into the Fray throwing Jaina away, as she just got a really big slow against her because of Joanna. And she may also be seeing a stun from Blessed Shield in pretty soon, and we've got Fan going in for a kill. So, we may see an Into the Fray throwing Jaina, but he got silenced, so we didn't actually see that. A nice stun. I mean, get pulled, I guess. He gets in there, and the portal ends up getting everyone out, which is fine. I believe he was going to rush in to get a throw. We may never see a throw this game. An ally throw, anyways. He simply just tossed her in the same place. You can do a decent amount of damage by throwing them. A lot of Medivh portal shenanigans. Again, he could have gone for a throw there, but he doesn't have... You got to remember with Garrosh, he has the same amount of movement speed as everyone else. So unless you have a... like a Lucio or someone on your team who can add to your movement speed, there's really no chance of you just walking up to someone. Now, what you can do is you can do your Q first, which slows them for 35%. Then you can walk up and you can throw them, but then you don't have a slow to follow up on that. So just walking up to people isn't really worth it. He's saving his abilities, making sure that he doesn't waste them on anything. He's got his taunt, which right here is probably going to be a good fight for him to taunt. But in order to fight the Maiev, she's going to come in and probably do a lot of damage. I don't know if she has her ultimate right now. I can see. She does not. But she does have tether. So we'll see what she ends up doing. They decide that they want to fight right now. He throws... it's not Joanna, is it? I don't know. He throws her over. That was Joanna. He taunted her before she can use her trait, which was able to get a kill on Joanna before she was able to use her trait. So again, that's what I was saying is the combo that I like is if you throw someone and immediately stun them, you can walk up and you can taunt them before the stun's over for this. I mean, the timing's a little off, but it does give you some pretty good leeway. He threw Thrall over, which here's the thing. I expected this to happen earlier where he would throw Thrall and then Thrall would root, allowing them to walk up and get a kill. I don't know if Thrall has the mana to root, but you can also see that he gets armor, so that there's no way that Blaze can turn on him. Yeah, I don't think he had the mana for the root, or else that would have led to a kill. Alright, we're going to speed up again. I didn't see how he got that kill, but that's fine. One thing that I haven't seen him use too much, which is a little trick for wave clearing with Garrosh. I see a lot of people do this. I mean, he doesn't have the talent at level 1 to do this, but what some people will do is if you feel like you have to do everything as Garrosh, like your team isn't wave clearing or anything, you can get Unrivaled Strength, and it increases the damage of the landing of your E, and you can toss your E onto, you can throw one minion onto the rest of the minions to use it for wave clear. So I would recommend doing that if you have to, you just feel like you're solo queuing a lot, but the higher ranks you get, you're going to definitely want to play around with Warbreaker a little bit more. Alright, they decide to leave. They go for a turn-in, maybe a fighting at a camp. We'll see. Again, guys, anchor. This is the power of anchoring, right? They don't expect him to be here, so he's sitting in a bush. They don't expect him to be here. So what can they do right now? Well, he can do a few things. Ultimately, what I personally think he should do is he should taunt first and deal damage. And then as the taunt's about to end, because it lasts for 2 seconds, he should throw down here and he should stun, and then they should walk up and do more damage. And if they do it correctly, they can kill Tracer without having any issues. There's another variation of this combo where he throws and immediately stuns and then hopes that Malfurion roots. Which Malfurion will likely root right about here, or maybe right here if the team's coming up there, and then he can follow up and he can taunt as the root's going off. Either way, between these two people, they should be able to kill a Tracer. He decides not to go for any of these, but again, the power of anchoring for the bush, he still had vision for when Tracer was going in. He didn't go for the taunt because he knew that the shield was going to go off. But when the shield ended, he immediately went for the taunt, and this is a dead Joan. He stunned the Blaze, which is going to lead to a kill. So do you see, as much as I think Garrosh, and most people think Garrosh is just to do the throws that you can lead to kills, he's not really ever doing the throws that are leading to kills. He's simply just using the throws to throw away the tank or to set up for other opportunities. He is using it for kills here and there, but not as much as you would see someone in lower ranks doing it. He's usually actually using Groundbreaker more for kills, and he's saving this a lot more than I would expect he would. But you can see, I mean, the power of that taunt, the power of his other abilities. I would say he's one of the strongest CC tanks in the game. And I would say he's also still one of the strongest main tanks in the game because of the way that his passive works. With every 2% missing health, he gets 1 armor, which means the lower health he is, the harder he is to kill. Now Tracer, you can see she got the percent health on her bomb, so the only chance that Garrosh has of dying is by getting down to about 10% health and then having Tracer use her bomb. He actually can probably go for a kill on Maiev, or at least zone her out by walking down to her. But he decides not to do that. I think they're just a little worried about the fight, especially without Medivh there. The cooldown's so low on Q, you can get poke off here and there, as it does do a decent amount of damage with that talent. You need to be careful about trying to throw people while they're around minions, because it's going to target whoever's nearest to you. And as you can see right now, well, Maiev is very close and in range for the throw. There's a minion right here that's much closer. So if he tries to throw right now, it's simply just going to throw the minion instead. So another reason why, if you're going against a Garrosh, the ways that you counter him is by getting close to minions when he's about to throw something, and make sure that you're on just the other side of a minion. That's an easy way to counter Garrosh, as well as percent health damage to counter his passive. he goes for the taunt first, and from the taunt, he can reposition to where it's easier to throw one. I don't know if he goes for that or not. No, he simply throws a minion at them to do extra damage, and then he backs up so he can get the Groundbreaker stun instead of the actual E. I think this was a better call because if he was to throw someone, the root wouldn't have landed on them, and they might have been able to get out. By simply backing up and using his Q, it guarantees that the root lands on everyone, and he still gets a stun off, which will lead to a kill. So using the throw for damage was a pretty interesting way of doing that. I don't know who he ended up throwing, but I may end up going back to see. Again, the root goes off. And that's another thing that's beneficial about going Nature's Swiftness. They were all running the same speed, guys. I mean, this is not a Malfurion guide, but they were all running the same speed except for Malfurion. So he was able to move faster than Blaze so that he could get a root in front of them. But if they don't win this game right here, I'd be very surprised. Ooh, they got. So I believe they just got Maev'd. And what I mean by getting Maev'd is they got into a fight where they were too clustered and Maiev showed up and was able to drop them all because of her low cooldowns and high damage. So in this scenario, he should be positioning up here, and then when Maiev appears, he should be throwing her and stunning her to slow her, as well as he could also do this when she gets in here. So that she jumps in, he should immediately throw her out. But I believe they're going for a circle of protection followed by an arcane explosion. So all the damage that she does will be reflected back on her. I think that's what they're going for, but Psalm's a really good player. I think most likely he's just going to wait a second. He's going to use his trait to avoid damage, and then when this ends, he's just going to drop him. Trait to avoid damage, right? The ability ended, he moved down. And what does he do? He does a bunch of damage and just drops all of them. Honestly, Psalm, that was a very, very solid play. And then he goes again, does a lot of damage. You got to give props to him. He is a very, very good player. So that's Psalm in action, honestly. He played that so well. He mitigated all the damage from Arcane Explosion at the same time as mitigating a lot of the extra damage that they were going to do. At the same time as he moved away from the CC and followed up by getting 3 or 4 hits on his Q, on Maev's Q, just dropping everyone. And he still survived the fight even after killing just about everyone. Honestly, that was incredible. So, back to Garrosh. Let's start this back up when he is alive. And I'm going to lock the screen on him really quick. Now, when you're behind with Garrosh, you actually have a lot of benefits because you can throw people over your own towers. Now, in a pro game, no one's going to fall for that. But in your games, you should be looking for situations where you can do that. In pro games, he does have different benefits, though. As you, your ultimate, getting a kill with your ultimate, while it's a 50-second cooldown, death timers are also 50 seconds. So you can get a lot of value off of it. And again, he could have tried to go for a slow there, but a throw there, but the problem was you walk the same speed as another person, so he knew he's just not even going to waste any time. A little bit of wave clear, but not much. Honestly, Garrosh doesn't have very much if you don't get that one talent. He really doesn't have very much wave clear. What do? Anchor a bush. Again, pro players are very good at this. Random players are not very good at this, and especially with Garrosh. The pros pick Garrosh because when you anchor with a bush on Garrosh, it's a lot scarier than anchoring on a bush with someone like ETC. Because if you're anchoring on a bush with ETC, the best you can do is immediately stun, do an auto attack, and then push him towards your team. But with Garrosh, you immediately throw him to your team, stun him, and then walk up and taunt, and it's a guaranteed kill. So Garrosh, just sitting at the bush. You get slightly more vision if you're on this side. You get more vision of this area compared to if you're right here. As you can see, he's sitting right here, and the vision actually cuts off right here. So you can position a little bit differently. So he's trying to get a little bit more vision. And if he sees someone walking up, he can always just step forward and then throw and get a kill. They don't have a turn in, but... he might go for a pull right here just because Blaze only has the escape of his bunker as well as his E. And if you could walk in front of him with his E, then he no longer has an escape. So the other things, I didn't mention the other talents that he got. Level 13, he got a shield. Why is the shield so good? Well, I explained earlier that one of the strong things to draft with a Garrosh is someone who can give shields. The lower health he gets, the more armor he gets, but the more vulnerable he is because he's at low health. Well, if you get low health and you keep giving yourself a shield, it makes it to where they have to go through your entire shield with like 48% armor on you, so you just take almost no damage. So this shield is almost a must pick. Yes, you could go with the healing over time, but at the same time, you're going to have a lower cooldown on your Q, which means that you become almost unkillable when you get this level 13 talent. It's a very big power spike. You may see someone like some of the popular streamers go with double up. The times you want to get double up is when you have a shield person on your team, like a Tyrael or anyone like that, or if you don't go with this talent. If you go with Unraveled Strength, double up can do the same effect by making it to where you're unkillable the lower health you get. At level 16, he ended up going with Wrecking Ball stuns enemies near impact. This makes it to where if you were to throw someone more offensively, like you throw him to here, it means that you can stun him, walk up, and you can do your taunt on both Blaze as well as Stukov, which if your team was a little bit closer, that could lead to a kill. As it stands right now, that's not going to be that beneficial. He decides to go for a taunt first instead of a throw. He gets silenced, so he can't do a throw there. They use a portal, and then he follows up with a throw. Now he no longer has an escape. This should be an easy kill and a dead Blaze. In here, he should be throwing one of his teammates away because they have a what's it called? A tether on them. At the same time as they're stuck in this area, and they've got a bunch of damage going on, and they're about to have a silence there as well. So if he doesn't throw someone away, they may be in for a rough fight. Oh, but they go for the Arcane Explosion instead of throwing anyone away. The Arcane Explosion does a lot of damage to Psalm and takes him out. He simply tosses him for the extra damage because you don't need to throw him away anymore. You just throw him into the middle of your team to make sure that you get that extra damage off. And that is Garrosh in a pro game. I will let the core go down. So again, essentially what you should be looking for with Garrosh is not just pulls to guarantee kills, but pulls to remove their tank. If they only have a single tank, which they happen to have two, but if they throw away the tank, then you can fight their backline. At the same time, using your throw just for damage, as well as using your Q to become an unstoppable force, something that you just can't be killed, as well as pros tend to pick Garrosh with a healer that doesn't have a cleanse, and you'll use your throw to have a cleanse as well. And that is why the pros pick Garrosh. If you'd like to add any other comments about Garrosh, toss them in the comments below, as well as if you have any other tips for Garrosh in Hero League as opposed to pro play, feel free to throw those in the tips below as well, or the comments below, because the thing about Garrosh is the way that he was played in here was pretty safe. But you can play him much more aggressive in Hero League if you want to try to go for kill after kill after kill after kill, and especially in low ranks when people make a lot more mistakes than pros. So while the reasons that he's picked in pros is those three reasons that I mentioned, you can pick him for a lot more reasons in lower ranks, as well as all the way up to masters if you really want to. I've seen a few I've seen a lot of Grandmaster players who have one-tricked Garrosh and have been forces to be reckoned with. And particularly, I've had a few games where a Garrosh who has that shield talent at level 13 has been absolutely unkillable, to the point that if you don't have percent health, you don't even try to kill Garrosh late game. You just go around him and try to kill everyone else. So if you want to be an unstoppable force and you want to play like the pros, hopefully this video helped out, explain why the pros pick him, as well as how you can utilize him in Hero League as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I do have a little guide that kind of mentions how to do that throw that you saw where he does the E and then the Q. It's pretty easy to do, but at the same time, the video is really short too. So you should be able to find that on my channel. It'll probably be in the recommended. If not, just let me know. I'll link to it. But yeah, overall, that is Garrosh. Thank you so much for watching.